Hello everybody, this is Mr. Storm, and today we're going to talk about brand identity. So the last assignment tasked you with coming up with an idea for a product that you can market online. And today we're going to actually refine your brand just a little bit more. We're going to come up with an identity for your brand, something that really speaks to you, something that really says what this product is about and communicates to your customers exactly what your product is. So we're going to, the way you complete this assignment is you go to this brand identity Google Slides document. This has information in it, but for the most part, the most important part of this are the little worksheets that you'll see when we get into it. I'm going to make this full screen so it's easier to see. Okay, so let's talk about brand marketing. How do you define your product to yourself, right? How do you think about your product? How do you talk about your product? And how do your customers think about you as a company and your product in general? Are there differences between you and a competitor? Are there things that make your product feel different? We're going to refine those things today. So who is your customer? The first step in developing a brand identity is determining who is your customer, right? You want to think about the prototypical customer, the specific person that you are absolutely sure is going to buy your product, the one person that you know for sure you want to buy it. Each detail about this person is going to help you to define your brand identity by appealing to their specific preferences, right? You're going to market most of your marketing efforts going to be toward this one person in general. So think about it like this. Let's say I'm thinking about a soft drink company, and their prototypical customer is 12 to 24 years old. They're male, they're Caucasian, and their hobbies include skateboarding and playing video games, right? What company am I talking about? What brand am I talking about, right? I think most of you probably just by that description, you're already getting ideas. You're already getting the picture that I'm trying to paint here, right? I'm talking about Mountain Dew, right? We all know that. That's exactly how they market their product. If I was talking about a soft drink company that was more classic, that focused more on traditional values, that focus more on culture and unity and tradition, then I would be talking about Coca-Cola, right? They're just different ways of marketing basically the same product to completely different customers. So on this slide, I want you to go through and answer these questions about your customer, right? Write in how old they are, their age range, what gender they are, their hobbies, favorite music, income, other products that they use, and then find a picture of your prototypical customer online. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but just find it could be a stock photo or whatever, but the picture of the person that you have in your mind that is going to buy your product and put it in here. So then we need to refine our brand identity just a little bit. So there are some keys to a good brand identity. One, it has to be distinct. So it has to stand out among your competitors and it has to grab your customers' attention, right? If people are looking for your product and they're thinking about your product, but they can't tell between you and a competitor, it's going to be kind of hard for you to stand out in the market. Some off-name brands actually eschew this model completely, and they try to make their brands as close as possible to more popular brands to try to trick people into buying them. You see this all the time with soft drinks. Again, if you go to Walmart or a grocery store, you'll see like Dr. Thunder, and the colors and the design is a little bit like Dr. Pepper, and it tastes a little bit like Dr. Pepper too, like bad Dr. Pepper. But you'll see this all the time in off-name brands, right? You want to be distinct from your competitors. You want to be different. You want to show your customers how your brand provides them with a product that is different from what everyone else is offering. Number two, it has to be memorable. Okay, it has to make a visual impact. If someone sees your brand, if someone sees your logo, sees your catchphrase or your keywords, someone sees your product, it has to be visually appealing, right? There are a lot of really good examples in this market, but think about Beats by Dre, right? The lowercase b that kind of looks like headphones, right? When you see that B in that font, it's really, really memorable, right? And it's distinct. I see those, I know exactly what product those are referring to. You want to make sure that it's scalable and flexible. Make sure that it can grow with your brand. Your brand identity needs to be something that can evolve over time as your brand grows. Because if you're doing it right, you're going to be monitoring your business and monitoring who's buying and why they're buying. And you're going to be making changes to your brand identity based on that information. Number 4, it has to be cohesive. Each piece of your brand identity has to complement each other. So if your logo is a very traditional logo that is simple and straightforward, but all of your marketing efforts are completely disjointed and confusing and hard to understand, those two identities are perfectly fine separately, but together they kind of clash and it makes it hard to really pin down your brand identity. And number 5, it has to be easy to apply. So is it intuitive and clear for designers? If the people who are working on your product, you in general, people who are building your website, you, people who are developing the marketing materials, you, is it easy for them, you, to implement your brand identity in all of these things? Is your product going to be able to represent your brand identity clearly? Are your advertisements going to be able to do that? Is your website going to be able to do that? So those are really important considerations. So here I have a quick questionnaire that you want to fill out on the slide, which is going to task you with deciding between 2 different, buzzwords, right? Is your brand identity more traditional or classic, or is it more progressive? Just put an X in the box that applies to your brand. Is it more exclusive or accessible? Is it more corporate or friendly, right? Is it more serious or fun, more understated or bold? Is it more simple or complex? Is it more city or urban or natural? Is it familiar or is it disruptive? Is it steady or is it dynamic? Is it realistic or is it idealistic? Now think about these words and which one do you think most applies to your brand, right? In each of these pairings, and put an X in the box that most applies in each one of these pairings. Buzzwords. Buzzwords is really important to nail down for your brand identity, because with buzzwords, these will help you whenever you're writing advertisements. These will help you when you're writing press releases. These will help you when you're trying to come up with content for your website. Buzzwords are really, really important. So what I want you to do is think of 5 words that describe your brand. These can be completely abstract words, just as long as they apply to the brand identity as it exists in your mind. Right? Come up with buzzwords. So fast, dynamic, or whatever, and put your buzzwords in this column here. And then for each of these words, so fast, I want you to come up with a synonym for that word. So fast could be responsive, or it could be lightning, right? Just words that kind of are a little bit more poppy, something that really grabs the attention. And then when you're done filling this out, I want you to look at this slide and I want you to pick one word out of here. Just one word out of the buzzwords and synonyms that you think is that best defines your entire brand identity. Just one word that really sums it up, and highlight that. Select the box and then put a different color highlight behind it or something like that, just to indicate which one you think is your best, most defining word. Color palette. Color palette is extremely important. I've given you 3 boxes here. You can actually add more boxes if you want. 3 boxes is usually fine, but I want you to come up with a color palette that's going to help you to define your brand. Something that you can use, these colors you're probably going to use in all your advertisements. You're going to use it in your logos. You're going to use these colors on your website design. These are colors that are really going to be synonymous with your brand. Now, you want to think about colors that already match the decisions you made about your identity so far, right? If you picked a traditional, if your company and your product is more traditional, you want to stay away from really bright and flashy and vibrant colors. You want things that are more subdued, grays and blacks and whites and blues and stuff like that. If you're more natural, then probably lighter greens or yellows, more pastels, things like that. Fun and playful. Think about those decisions you made and come up with ideas for what colors you think represent that the most. And so all you have to do is just click these boxes and change the fill color of the shapes to show me what choices you've made. Typography. You want to choose different fonts that are going to define your brand. Let's say you had a traditional company and a traditional business that was more urban and exclusive, but your font was Comic Sans, right? That doesn't really send the right message. So you want to pick fonts that are going to represent your brand identity specifically, right? So, and these fonts, of course, on this assignment, you're kind of limited to the fonts that they have in Google Slides, but you can find equivalents, things that kind of match that idea, or are pretty close to the fonts you want to use, but at least give you the idea of what your fonts are going to look like on your web page and what your fonts are going to look like in your advertisements. So, this document, if you fill it out well, you can keep coming back to it whenever you're designing your logos, your websites, your advertisements, your press releases, all that stuff. Every time you're building something for this product, you want to keep coming back to this document to ensure that all the things you build matches your brand identity and that brand identity is consistent. So when you're done filling out this slideshow and adding your information to these slides, so this one here, this one here, this one, and this one, you want to go ahead and upload this document to the brand identity assignment. Please let me know if you have any questions. I am here to help, and thanks for paying attention.